Good morning. Thank you for joining this channel. I wanted to share with you some diagrams here. This comes out of the Tesla 369. I start out with a complete circle. A protractor would help in this manner. And then you have 9 different points. These come out to be frequencies. And that's why they have their numbers as is. Exponentially, these numbers are, when you add the numbers together, like 174, that's 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. The same for these numbers and frequencies. And they go in that very order, but these points are divided by 40 degrees. So how do we did that? You did 360 divided by 9, and you get 40 degrees. This is not drawn exactly to scale. I haven't used a protractor for this. I use other means of creating the circle. But I start out with 1, and then 2. I should make these a little bit more clear. 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So how do we come up to this? We did here is the same exact diagram. However, at this time, we've made the wings. And how do we get to that point? We got here by means of adding 1 plus 1 equals 2. And 2 times 2. And all we're doing here is connecting the dots. Literally. 2 plus 2, or 2 times 2 is 4. You connect that dot to this dot. Four times 2 is 8. And then we connect that dot all the way up to the 8. Pretty much like this. 1, 2, 4, 8. And these are nodes. We will see how we're creating inner nodes as well, as there are 9 outer nodes. There are some nodes within as well. So we went from 4 times 2 to 8. 8 times 2 will be 16. 1 plus 6 is 7, so we connect that dot, and then we come to 16 times 2 is 32. 3 times 2, or 3 plus 2 is 5. So we come over here, and the next one is 32 times 2, 64. 6 plus 4 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1, so we're back to square 1. And this is what creates these wings on this side. They look like wings connected at one point right here. This is duality, polarity. This is the infinity. And these are the frequencies: 174, 285. 417, then 852, then 741, then 528, the hard one, and up here back to, it crosses on its way back to 174, and that's what creates that void, that point unknown. Next we take the the others that were not part of that, or were not introduced in the duality, because they are more, they're triune, and that's also called a divinity. 396, 3 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 2 is 6. It just goes back and forth. And you just connect the dots. And that's what this triangle is. It is a triangle literally connected with the polarity, duality, the material world. And this is when we find actual, the divine is interconnected or locked in with the material duality world. This is fascinating because this is, you have the wings and then you have the divine, and then they're connected by this line. And this point right here, it could be 432, the frequency that all instruments calibrate themselves to it. And in the middle, I find out that you add the 963, 639, 396, comes up to 1998. Divide that by 3, you get 666. Also, the carbon element, which carbon, the trinity of this would be man, which I put up here like a cross. That's when God became man and came to the earth. Six is carbon. Carbon is pretty much one of the roots of all life creation, as I understand it, or part of it. And then here I have the top of a triangle. This right here is a chief cornerstone. And these are the pyramids, I understand, are, one of them is missing its top. And this is what that represents. Now here I went a little bit further to denote about 7 dimensions. We have 7 dimensions here on the side. Fascinatingly, this right here on the very bottom where I'm pointing to underneath this little underline is 1. The first dimension. And then the next dimension from this dotted line up to right before the chief cornerstone is the second dimension. We'll go back up here because I have it pointed out here. So here's the first dimension, right between that, right below that underline. The second dimension is here between first and the third. And the third is actually small. It's right here. This is the cornerstone. That's the third dimension. And then the fourth dimension's above. And then here's your fifth dimension. Then your sixth. Then your seventh. So you have 7 dimensions. 1, 2, 3. The 3 is very interesting because it's connected to the divine. That's where we are. That's where the earth is, within the 3rd dimension. We're adjacent to the 2nd and the 3rd dimension. The 4th dimension could be etheric, as I understand. Those are dimensions. 7 to be one of the highest, where 963 is. That's the God frequency, or the top or the head frequency. These frequencies are meditative. You can actually use them to meditate and activate the pineal gland. And here I have separated the 369s, as here I have the numbers as exponential 369. And then I pair them over here. Very common in their figures. So that's what we've discovered in this one. 7 dimensions, the chief cornerstone, and that the very 3rd dimension is very special. Because not only do you have the chief cornerstone, you have the pyramid, top of the pyramid here. And you have this void where creation comes from. Pretty divine to me, if you ask me. Thanks for joining us.